Hey all, today we are on pages 25 and 26. We are going to be writing equations from tables and graphs that have context and word problems to it. So go ahead and get out your notes and we will start here on page 25. So as always, we need two pieces of information in order to write an equation of a linear equation. So first we need the slope, which is represented by our m value, and we also need our y-intercept, which we represent by our b value. Once we have those two values, we will write the equation in the form y equals mx plus b, or we call that slope-intercept form. So two different things. If we have a table, we can find the slope by calculating the change in the y's over the change in the x's. Okay, look for the y-intercept as the value of y, where the x value is equal to 0, because as a starting point, a y-intercept is always on the y-axis, so that would be 0, comma, whatever value you have. That would be your starting point. For a graph, we can find the slope by setting up the ratio of rise to run, and looking for the y-intercept as the point where the graph crosses the y-axis. So all of these kind of have contextual meaning to it. So hopefully we can understand it and put some meaning behind it. So Luke's family goes to the movies and purchases a large popcorn. They're debating whether or not to purchase any drinks. The table below shows how much they'll spend based on the number of drinks they decide to purchase. So the first thing is, what is the slope? So here is my x coordinates and here are my y coordinates, and I'm going to find the change between them. So we have to pick two good points. I'm just going to use the first two. And so I find the change from $6.25 to $10, and that would be a change of $3.75. Okay? The change in the x's is from 0 to 1, and that would be 1 drink. So my slope is 375 over 1, or we could just simplify that just to 375. Because this is a word problem, it's okay to have decimals in this case. Okay. To find the y-intercept in a table, we need to figure out when x is 0, what the y value is. So number of drinks, 0 drinks, the total cost is $6.25. So my y-intercept is 0, 625, or you could just write 625. So my equation is y equals mx, so 375x, plus 625. Okay, so the second question, or the fourth question asks, what does the slope represent in this situation? So we had 375 over 1, and when I was finding the slope, I actually already wrote the labels in. So it looks like it's $3.75 for every 1 drink. So just making that make more sense, every drink that they want to buy, it would cost an additional $3.75. Okay, what does the y-intercept represent in this situation? So this is the starting amount, and so it says 0 drinks would cost $6.25, which doesn't really make sense, because why are they paying for something if they don't have any drinks? But what we have to do is we have to go back and look at the original problem. Luke's family goes to the movies and purchases a large popcorn. So this $6.25 is the cost of a large popcorn. So what they are trying to figure out is how many drinks they should purchase. All right, go ahead and go to page 26. Betty's Bakery uses a chocolate chip recipe that calls for a certain ratio of brown sugar to butter as shown in the graph. So we have butter and we have brown sugar. What is the slope? So for slope from a graph, we need 2 good points. You could use the 2 that I gave you. You could also use the origin. Okay, I'm going to use the origin because the numbers are smaller and I like to do that. So it looks like the rise is 3 and the run is 4. So the slope is a 3 to 4 ratio. Okay, then it asks what the y-intercept is. So to find the y-intercept, we figure out where it starts on the y-axis. So it looks like it starts at 0, 0. So the equation would be y equals 3 over 4x. You could put plus 0, but you obviously do not have to. Okay, part D, what does the slope represent in this situation? So our slope is 3, over 4. We already know that. Okay. Then we have to look at the labels because it says brown sugar on the y-axis. So it rises 3 cups of brown sugar. For every 4, that's our run. So on the x-axis is labeled by cups of butter. So I can just interpret this as every 3 cups of brown sugar needed for this recipe, we need 4 cups of butter. Then it says, what does the y-intercept represent in this situation? Our y-intercept was 0, 0. So we can just interpret that as 0 cups of brown sugar means we need 0 cups of butter. All right. Problem 3, a plane uses a certain amount of fuel based on the number of miles it travels as shown in the table. First, it asks, what is the slope? So we have our miles traveled, so that'll be our x value. And then we'll have gallons of fuel, and that'll be our y value. So the change in our y values for our slope would be 0 to 156. So that'd be up 156. The change in my x values will be 30. Okay, so 156 over 30. And then I'm going to grab my calculator so it will simplify it for me. So I'm going to do 156 ABC 30, and I get 5.2. Then I'm going to hit second PRB to get 5 1/5. And then I'm going to hit second ABC, and it will convert it to 26 over 5 for me. Okay. You could also keep it as 5.2 because, again, it is a word problem. It's totally up to you. Okay. So I will write it as both, and whichever makes most sense to you, that is totally fine. Okay. So I'm going to write 26 over 5 or 5.2. Okay. What is the y-intercept? So when x is 0, y is 0. So my y-intercept is 0, 0. So my equation is y equals 26 over 5x plus 0. You could also write it as y equals 5.2x. Okay. What does the slope represent? So we'll write it in both different contexts. So 26 over 5, remember that slope is the change in your y values. So it was up 156 or up 26. That's gallons of fuel for every 5 miles traveled. Okay. As a unit rate, that's what the 5.2 represented. So it's basically 5.2 gallons per mile. So that kind of tells you that it takes a lot of gas to go anywhere on a plane. Then what does the y-intercept represent? If we have 0 miles traveled, you will use 0 gallons of gas. Okay. So for the last problem, you guys are going to go ahead and try it, and then we are going to go over each answer. So Robert pays for his family to go bowling. He first rents shoes for everyone, then pays a certain amount per game that his family plays as shown in the graph. So first it asks, what is the slope? So for the slope, we need to find 2 good points. It starts at 12 and it goes up to 21, or it's going by 3s. So 3, 6, 9. And then these are going by 1, so it goes over 2. So the slope is 9 over 2. Or we could also just simplify that as 4.5. All right, and second asks, what is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is where it crosses on the y-axis, so that is 0, 12. So the equation would be y equals 9 over 2x plus 12. You could also write it as y equals 4.5x plus 12 because it is a word problem. Next, it asks, what does the slope represent? So we'll use 9 over 2 first. Okay, so 9 over 2 is the slope. What does that represent? Well, the rise is the cost, so it's $9. The run is 2 for number of games. Okay, so if you did 9 over 2, it would be $9 for every 2 games. If you used 4.5, go ahead and put what you think that means. So 4.5 would be 4.5 over 1, so that would be the cost for per game. Okay. Finally, what does the y-intercept represent? That means 0 games. It still costs $12, and I want you guys to guess what that $12 is from. So when you read the story problem, it says it first had to rent the shoes, so the $12 is from the shoes. All right, for today, guys, there is some practice that is on the Google Doc that you guys will follow. See you guys tomorrow.